Well, I'm standing here on the top of the roof at the Sky Lounge, this hotel I've been staying at for about a week. I was gonna do a little talking tonight at this restaurant that I really like, right around the corner, but kind of in a contemplative mood today. I had a long day actually. Had to go down and get my telex visa from the embassy, Indonesian embassy. And a little bit stressful on that, but it was really hot. It poured rain, and then it was really humid in the late afternoon. But I wanted to tell you the story about what happened to me today. I always like listening to people's story. I've listened to a lot of stories, personal stories. I kind of seek out amateur bloggers. And I really like this guy from Cambodia. He's kind of a eccentric character, Morris, but he comes on every day and tells a little bit about what he thinks about the political situation as an outsider. And there's not enough people doing that, really. It seems like there should be. You know, we have this technology, and they're not going to keep it around for long. They're already trying to find ways to clamp down on it. They want to make money with it. They want to be a big central part of the economy, but they want to shut down any kind of real political discourse that threatens their power grid. And so I might as well speak while I can, because I imagine they'll clamp down on it if people don't resist, and I don't see people resisting. And actually I don't really think I'll ever make a difference. I just don't see enough awareness out there and interest. The other day I saw this video on Facebook. It was some Texas, the biggest donuts in Texas, and these two women were eating this huge oversized donut, and it had 23 million views, right? 23 million views of eating donuts, and there was nothing of value or any content. I watched my kid watch these silly little video games with Kinder eggs, and you see like 30 million views, and then you get people like Morris, or, you know, I don't have much voice out there yet, but maybe I will eventually. But, you know, Morris only gets a couple thousand views, but he's been doing it for 4 or 5 years. He's actually saying something interesting, but nobody really wants to listen to much of that. They just want to, you know, have some affirmation, some giggles, some shits and giggles. Anyway, my point is tonight that I was down at this really great Lebanese Middle Eastern restaurant, big place. It was really, maybe if I have some time I'll put some shots of the restaurant on this video, because I'm doing it recording it on my phone. And just want to give you some shots of KL downtown. That's downtown. But anyway, my point was I went to this great restaurant yesterday down by the embassy, and it was so good that I went down there again today. And my wife and I opened this. It's kind of a Middle Eastern Mexican restaurant in Bali, and just getting going. We've only been open about 6 months. Getting it on its feet, still a little bit of a struggle, but I think it'll work eventually. But anyway, my chef, we hired these 3 Iranian guys and younger guys. Refugees actually, and anyway, they needed to get this certain kind of shish kebab skewer, and not a shish kebab, but, well, shish kebabs for the, and then we're doing the real Middle Eastern kebabs too, but we haven't added that. But the reason they needed these special metal skewers that were they're flattened, so the meat kind of stays on there where you cook it, the beef or whatever. So anyway, I had no idea where to find them, so I asked the guy at the counter if he knew, and he went right back and talked to the owner, and the owner came out and talked to me. He said, "Oh yeah, well, tomorrow maybe you can come. I'll just take you down there with me." And I said, "Well, I'm leaving on a flight tomorrow. I'm not sure when I'll be able to get back here." And he said, "Okay, well, I'll be right back." And so he goes back there, and like 10 minutes later, he's got the car ready, and this is the owner of this huge restaurant, right? And he's gonna take me across town to this restaurant supply store. I mean, it was just unbelievable kindness. I mean, I'd never met the guy in my life. Anyway, so we hop in the car and in his van, and we go out there all the way. It took about 20 minutes, 30 minutes in traffic to go out there. But anyway, my point was, I mean, it was just a random act of kindness. I mean, he didn't even buy anything when we went to the store. He was just taking me over there, you know. But anyway, he was a fairly young guy. He was from Libya. Okay, so he's from Libya, well educated, and he had PhD and a master's degree in computer technology, and opened this huge, I mean, it was a big restaurant, big successful restaurant, and he was giving me a lot of advice about how to get started on that, and what works, and he uses data from GrabCar to get the menu right, make sure people are buying his reviews his menu, and anyway, really sharp guy and quite a warm-hearted guy, you know. His name's Amir, and but my point was, we were talking a little. He was interested in politics because he turned up the radio. It was kind of, and I asked him some questions about Libya and what he thought, because I know it's what a terrible situation. I wanted to really comment on that because you know, we get bamboozled, we get fooled into thinking Gaddafi was this evil dictator, and that's one of the reasons I really am really critical of the American establishment and the American public who just goes along with it. Because you know, once you learn, you know, Gaddafi, what he was about, he was a fabulous leader. Now, I talked a little bit about it last hour, just be brief, but one of the things, he had this green book, his famous green book, and he was a long-term leader. The reason he was, I mean, he was celebrated in the streets when he drove his car through Libya because he did so much for his country, and they were the crown jewel of Africa. You know, you look at the cities, they were just beautiful, modern cities. He had this ambitious project to free Africa from poverty, and one of the things he wanted to do was put the currency system on a gold dinar, and a single currency through Africa, but all based on gold, right? And he wanted all the oil to be so, any Libyan oil or any resources needed to be paid for in gold, which is a lot more solid system. But he also had wanted to put this big water project through Africa. You know, we have droughts in Africa, and they have enough water in Africa, they just need to distribute it, and that was one of his big ambitious plans, and he was going to do it. And then also, he, even in his own country, everybody had free education. I'm sure Amir, this guy that came out with me today, was a benefactor of that, and he got a couple degrees. He studied in Egypt, and got his PhD in Egypt, and got his master's in Libya. And if you get married, you get some money, free money to buy a house and get established and be part of the community. And I got free health care for your life and free education for all the citizens. And people really loved him, you know. They loved him, and it was a peaceful country, and had people like Ymir, who's just a warm-hearted, very, very smart, interesting guy. And then the State Department in America, and Amir thinks it was not just America. I'm sure it wasn't. I mean, it was also Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and these Gulf countries that are, you know, they're kind of like pig dogs of American state, you know. Saudi's always been, they want to be they're afraid of, his take was that all these countries and America, they didn't want Libya to become the center of commerce in Africa. They're geographically positioned as to be a real powerful country, and kind of the gate of Africa and the Middle East and Europe. But you know, the cadre of Italy and Greece and the Gulf states, they were jealous. They didn't want that, and they wanted to, in America, you know. So you got Hillary Clinton on the. If I find I'll find this clip because it's so terrible. You know, this was all these I'm talking to the Democrats out there. This is the woman that you were fighting for. I mean, she's just a total. Oh man, she's just a disgusting human being. But she's laughing on public TV after Okay, well they hired mercenaries, and they dragged, they caught, kidnapped the leader, the president of Libya, Gaddafi, dragged him through the streets, beat the shit out of him, and they sodomized him with a knife, and they put it on, videotaped it, and then they put it on YouTube. And then the State Department, they're all laughing about it, and Hillary Clinton gets in on some CNN show or something and says, "We came, we saw, he died." It's like some sick, twisted woman, that thing is, and she should be in prison. And Obama should be in prison too for that, because you can't just overthrow governments and assassinate their leaders. I guess you can, but I mean, in any just world, you'd be on trial at The Hague, you know, or at least on trial in your own country, because that's totally unconstitutional in anybody's book. And they did it for the Rothschild banking interests, and they did it for who knows, but they totally destroyed the country, and now it's in total chaos. And Amir was saying it's not quite as bad as they put all this stuff about slavery, which is probably true in some respect, but he says a lot of it's propaganda too, because they want to just delegitimize and totally destroy, much like they did to Germany during World War II. They not only defeat them militarily, but they want to smear their name and drag them through the mud and ridicule them in public. And that's what you get from the mainstream media, and they're pretty much a Luciferian organization, and so are the politicians. I even got friends. I saw this Bourdain tweet the other day that came out. He said the cast from Friends, which everybody likes. I never even watched the show, but the cast of Friends was chanting in the breaks. They would chant Luciferian chants, this devil worshiping. They're serious about it too. I mean, that's the reason they got rid of Bourdain. If you don't kill somebody if he says something like that and it's not true, why would you kill him if it wasn't true? And so that's who's running America. So I feel like nobody's gonna listen to me, but maybe they will someday. But I'm gonna keep putting out these videos about my own thoughts, because it's the only way I can think to really combat the continuous stream of Babylonian Luciferian nonsense that comes out of the mainstream media. But you know, they demonize countries, and I talked a little bit about this last night. They demonize everybody in the country, right? And that's the way they can justify military intervention. And so no Americans really know Libyans. Probably, I bet only about 3 or 4 people in this, all my 2,000 friends on Facebook have probably ever met a Libyan in their life. But I got really tired of Americans just repeating what the news said about Muslims and Islam and any country they wanted to. Now it's Iran. They're demonizing all the people of Iran. But like I said, I've met a lot of people living in Asia mainly, but even in America I had some friends that were Middle Eastern. But I've had nothing but good experience with all of them, including today. I mean, Amir, what a nice thing to do. He didn't have to do that, he didn't know me, and went out of his way, took his car all the way over there. The owner of this big restaurant, I'm sure he's doing quite well, but I'm just a guest in his restaurant. I've only been there twice. That was the first time he's seen me, but he's over there helping me get shish kebab skewers on the other side of town. So that's the kind of good nature people I've met. And these 3 guys from Iran that we hire, they're just the nicest, most honest people I've met. Hardworking. They want some things in it. They want what everybody wants. They want to get ahead a little bit, have a family. But it's just sad. It's just a sad situation, and the media, how they spin and spin the hatred, and then people get prejudiced and biased, start talking negative about Muslims, and they don't even know what Islam's about. And all these terrorist attacks, even all the little ones too, they're all fabricated. Even they found this rape camp. The story is now in New Mexico, they found some kind of camp where they're supposedly training children for school shootings, which they do, probably in the Monarch CIA labs. But the story was that all these people are talking about, oh yes, a Muslim cleric. Yeah, right. One guy is going to kidnap a bunch of American kids and train them to be for these school shootings. I mean, unbelievable that people believe that. Of course, that's not really on the mainstream media, but that's coming out these controlled opposition groups that they're just. And I even suspect that a lot of these European stories about raping, the rape epidemic and Muslim rape epidemic and all this stuff. Now, maybe some of it's true, I don't know, but a lot of them I think is just pure propaganda. And you hear these stories about men decapitating their wife for looking at another man. I mean, those are just stories that are so extreme and so ridiculous if you ever meet any Muslim people, that it's just so far-fetched, and it's totally propaganda. So you really got to watch these magazines and stuff that print these fake stories, because it's all over the place. They've totally cooked it up on those on the CNN. They got caught. You know, they have Israeli Mossad agents dressed up like Muslims, and as you know, and they're perpetrating the terrorism, and then they're filming it. A lot of it's just fake, you know. It's like the CNN after they overthrew Saddam Hussein in Iraq. There was this great video. I forget the video I saw it on, but they had they were pulling down the statue. Apparently, it was supposed to be this big popular uprising against Hussein, and then they shot this crowd of people all chanting, "Down with Saddam Hussein, down with Saddam Hussein," and then they pulled back the cameras and panned it back further, and it's only about 20 people. It made them look like there was thousands of people, but it was just the camera angle and the statue, and you had the American military pulling down the statue with cranes or something, and you get the military pulling down the statue. They have the shot of this small group of people, and the rest of the courtyard is totally empty. So it's all about camera angles and story, narrative, right? So it's just like a Hollywood set, you know. It's just a total illusion, and so you really got to be careful about that. I would just say that I've just learned to trust my own experience and my experience with Islam, and all the people I've ever met from any part of the world that are part of that faith. That I think they're just remarkable people. Now, some of them are fairly conservative, traditional that way, and but they're not beating their wives, and they're not throwing acid in their face. Now, it might happen once in a while, I don't know, but I mean, Americans and Westerners do a lot of crazy things too. I mean, you get a lot of cannibalism, and they're eating each other's testicles and stuff. So that's all white culture. So you don't hear about that. They're always considered, just serial killers or whatever. But if a Muslim does it, then they portray it like all the Muslim world is doing these awful things, and that's just like part of their culture or something. Which is not. It's just not. You can't believe that, because in my experience, it's totally opposite. It's all just a political game, an economics game. It's they want to, if they can demonize the people, all the people in a country, then they're not going to get any resistance from the American public when they go in there with their military and overthrow everybody and kill a bunch of people, innocent people, like they have been doing for the past 20 years or more. And anyway, it's time to get over your biases and hang-ups, because people need to look in the mirror and reflect on the Christian religion. If you want to talk, then badmouth a whole religion based on a bunch of false assumptions and propaganda, you need to look at yourself too, and look at your own inadequacies of Christianity, which gets pretty nutty too. So, and they kill a lot more people than Muslims ever do. So, and that's historical, going back to the Crusades, if that's even real. But Anyway, that's my point tonight. I just wanted to talk a little bit about my day and my act of kindness from my friends, and I hope to see them again. And people here, a lot of mixed cultures from all over the world, a lot of Arabian people and people from Bangladesh and local Asians, but also a lot of refugees. There's some guys in our hotel from Pakistan, refugees, young guys. But we shouldn't be living in a world where there's refugees. And the only reason there's refugees is because of the American military state and Saudi Arabia and Israel, the fascist dictatorship, European Jew. They're not even Jews, so they're just fascist. They're old oligarchs. They were part of the Nazi establishment and Bolshevik. The same people, just different name, Zionists. But they're not even religious. They're just materialist, and they just want to kill people and take everything from them. So, all right. Well, good night. I know I'm always leaving on a pleasant note, but it's the times we're living in, and I have to face that reality, I guess. And, at least I feel like I have to talk a little bit about what I think. And like again, like I always say, you can take it or leave it. And most of you leave it, obviously, but maybe sometime, once there's enough voices out there that are telling some other stories, their own truths, their own experiences, then we can get through these collective hang-ups, these collective, everybody kind of thinking the same way. It's like groupthink, you know, and everybody's putting a lot of hatred on the Islamic world for no reason, when they should be putting their hatred on their own governments, because those are the ones that, and the media, those are the ones that are the Luciferians, and those are the people, that's your real enemy.
So, I mean, that is the land of unconfirmed.
Yes, we came, we saw, he died.
Did it have anything to do with your visit?
No, oh, I'm sure it did.